Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Simply Investing. Today, I'm going to talk about a request by someone who wants to remain anonymous. So, I'm going to talk about that in a bit. What I want to say is, I found out I had a camera, but I have no charger. I have everything but the charger, so I have to go and see about getting a charger. Maybe try to find a Radio Shack that's still open and get it at a great deal. So, and I, of course, can do more videos and, hey, maybe even record a live session of me trading. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? So I got that. I just want to talk about my portfolio right now. I'm up 8% on the month so far, which is pretty decent. Still growing, but it's doing great. My picks are, right now I'm investing into JetBlue, JCPenney, and Fit. I'm resurging my investments in those categories, in those stocks, because I believe they're going to, in 3 or 4 months, going to turn around. Day trading, I'm still bouncing back on biotech. Going up, left, right. I couldn't really tell you exactly which ones. Like, I'm in iTech, Axon. I shorted Axon on my trading account, not on my Robinhood. I can't wait for the margins to happen because I may just switch everything over to that, make it a lot easier. But I did do some shorts on that, some bets on that when that opened up. So we're going to see how that works out. I do want to see. What I do want to see with Robinhood app is not only marginal buying, but a more accurate percentage growth. Because when you sell a stock, that gain that you had off the stock, if you bought the stock at 25 and you bought $100, so 4 shares of it, and it went up to $50, so you sold, that $200, that extra $100 that you made falls in your deposits category. So it doesn't give you an accurate percentage gain. It just lists your percentage gain based off of your total deposits. But of course, all your sell-off gains go into your total deposits. So if they could fix that, much obliged. That would really help. And I just would like something to put a notification or something about dividends. That's all. Me personally, I just don't like waiting till the statement comes out. I just like to know when it was paid so I can accurately make the information. So with that said, that's what I'm doing. I do like JCPenney because it is going to go up great in the fourth quarter. New CEO, new turnaround process, and he seems to be very, very focused on it. Like he's gutting the parts of the company, meaning the people that are not moving with his dream, which is what Ron Johnson didn't do. Ron Johnson had a great strategy, just was executed very poorly. But with this new CEO, it seems like it's going to get executed a lot easier. And what it's showing is that, hey, I appreciate your work and your time and your 30 years with JCPenney, but you are the problem, and he's getting rid of those problems. So, unfortunately, I hate to say, but it's like if you're not adapting to change, which retail is detail, and it's like retail changes so fast and so quickly, like you gotta be comfortable with changing the business, and that's what he's comfortable with, and he's getting other people on board that are comfortable with it. That's why I think that's a great pick, as well as JetBlue. Costs are going down. I mean, oil is going to hit below $30 by the end of the year. Trust me on that. So JetBlue is going to have lower operating costs, and they're opening up more direct flights, and they're gaining more popularity. So they're doing more flights to more well-known cities, which is going to help boost their revenue, which is also going to help boost their value too. So now what I want to talk about is Mr. Tai Lopez. So someone who wanted to remain anonymous, they felt that they've been scammed by him and asked me, could you just check in and what's your thoughts about it? Or I shouldn't say been scammed, they have the feeling they are being scammed. So doing some research, and I've noticed too on YouTube, like his ads are blitzed everywhere. Like I see them, but if you're a person who gets pissed off by the ads, just block it or report it as spam, and it won't come up on your feed or video ever again. There's a Reddit page dedicated to him saying he's a scam and stuff like that, and then there's sites and pages and YouTube videos, lots of them saying he's not a scam, you just gotta believe, and things of that nature. So before I get into all that, I just want to say what makes a scam why you always people always look and say, well, how did you fall for it? Why didn't you pull out? Why didn't you get your money back? Why didn't you do this? It's because when people get involved in a scam, two emotional things happen. And I've seen this a lot in Ponzi schemes and investment frauds. People get into them, and it's the person conducting this game is so charismatic that people believe. We're like, we're one deal away. This is messing up. The government's stopping it. In actuality, they're just doing a really skillful job of delaying. Just postponing you. Before MP3 players and iPods were big, there's these little jukeboxes. I think it was eScan or something like that, where you would digitally download music on. And they were in bars and everything. And there's this guy, he kept saying, like, there's an acquisition deal with them and Microsoft. He was the CEO of it, but then he was let go. But he still kept pitching the investment. Hey, if you keep investing your money, the payout's going to be big for Microsoft, and it's going to keep going and keep going and keep going. What happened was he just kept pitching like, we're one step away from closing the deal, one step, like this was happening in Europe and we couldn't do it, this was here, we couldn't do it. And to people who are not financially savvy, it's believable. So when the government cracked down on him, because of course he was just taking the money and living his lavish lifestyle, when he said he was in Dubai, he was actually in Las Vegas gambling investors' money. But people didn't want to believe that. People wanted to see the success come from it. Like, they're just, I've been waiting this long, I invested this long, I've already lost the money, so I have nothing else to do but believe that it's going to come true. And this is where I think Tai Lopez kind of falls into that category, because it's cheap enough to where you can invest money and nothing happens. And nothing happened, so most people say, I lost the $67, move on with my life. But what other people have is, because there's different tiers, because I went through the whole application process and found out he asked your income. And of course I found some videos defending him, saying, well, of course he's asking your income because he's trying to help you get to the next level. No, that's typically not what you're doing. When you're an investment advisor, you want to know how much a person's total net worth is, so you can see how much they can invest with you and thus make more commissions. Kind of similar fact what Ty's doing. He's feeling you out. He's trying to see, are you a person with a lot of money or are you a person with a little money? So if he knows that you make $400,000 a year, he's going to pitch you higher products, which are actually the exact same, because I filled this application out twice. So I filled it out. I did a prepaid debit card, so I lost, $134. So, but anyway, maybe I went to go put gas in his Lamborghini. Who knows? But the first one I did as I was $70,000 a year. So his next step, in order for me to get more out of the 67 steps, I had to invest it. I had to buy this product for $1,000. And this product was going to help me clear my mind and get me to the next level and realize the faults of myself. All right, sounds pretty intuitive. Like, you're looking at it like, wow, that's actually, I never even thought about that. But looking at, because if someone posted a free video of it online, not online, but on YouTube, saying that, going through steps, it's just a lot of repetitive speeches given by other people at other various points of time. So it's like a lot of random quotes just repackaged and reformulated in his mouth. So when I did it and said that, I made $12 an hour, making about $30,000 a year, I was offered the same type of product, but with a completely different price tag. It was like $300, something that he thought was affordable. Now, whether you're spending $1,000 or $300, that's a lot of money, depending on which economic scale you're on. So, but at the end of the day, that's not illegal. He's selling you a product, even though it sucks and has no value. it's still technically a product. It's just a sucky product, and you're allowed to sell sucky products to people. Just like you can sell what's in those dollar stores? It's called Star Cola. As like you can open up that cola, it's flat within seconds. But you're allowed to sell it. You're allowed to sell a shitty product. It's just that Coca-Cola and Pepsi value a good product, so they value a good experience, and they make more money. But someone who's selling Star Cola is just really in it just for the buck. I mean, it's $1 for a 3 liter. I mean, you can't expect too much out of it. But I mean, that's kind of the analogy that I'm setting up here, is that Tai does offer a product. He offers a product that a lot of people like and want. So his product is the good life. All his products are supposed to lead you to the good life. And most people, the good life, well, actually, I can't even say most people, because everyone has their own interpretation of what the good life is. If you talk to a soldier who's fought in a couple wars, his good life is leave me alone, quiet, and let me retire to a quiet piece of the world, so I can just live my days in peace. Someone who's young and ambitious, the good life might be, hey, I want to be a billionaire and live a lavish lifestyle. It depends on the person and who you're talking to and what that good life is. And that's why I say that's where the snake oil salesman comes in, because he's selling a very generic product. The product is, you can have the good life too. And that can be interpreted in so many ways. I mean, you could talk to a lesbian couple. The good life is getting married and not being discriminated against. That's a good. I mean, it depends on what your definition of a good life is. You could talk to someone who lives in a trailer park, and their good life is just sitting outside in a pool, not having to go to work and drinking Bud Light all day. It's such a generic term, but it's something that everybody can drive to and get into. That's what people don't understand. That's what I think people who are defrauding it don't understand. I'm not saying I'm for it, because I don't think you should invest in someone else trying to invest in you. I think you should just invest in yourself and work and learn and read. And bringing that topic up and reading, he says he reads a book a day. I mean, I know people that read a book a day. My mother is from that time period where her mother and father made her read a book every day, or at least gave her a book every day to read. Or when she finished and she read a book. And now my mom's been doing that for years, and she'll start a book at 9 o'clock and she'll finish at 8. Not 8 o'clock, I'm sorry. She'll finish by like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So she'll take 6 hours to read a book. But she enjoys reading it. Now, what she's reading isn't self-help books. She's reading romance novels and stuff now. But, I just want to tell people it is possible to read a book in a day. It's just prioritizing what your time is. If you like going to the beach and surfing, you're probably not going to have the time to read a book every day. Surfing, I have never surfed before, but I can see that it's tiring. So if you're that person, coming home and reading a book is kind of impossible. If you're an active trader like me, I barely have time to do videos. So for me to set aside 6 hours to read a book in one day, it's a little hard for me. Now, I can read a book in a couple weeks because I can sit in between sessions, meetings, going to clients, and stuff like that, or plane rides and read a book. That's perfectly normal. That's fine. But I think I'm trying to express is that reading a book a day isn't abnormal. There's a lot of people that read a book a day. And depending on each person's intellectual ability to maintain information, I mean, some people will get a lot of it out of reading a book a day. Some people won't. I mean, like I know people that I can't get them to read a book, but if I give them a generic point, they already understand all the concepts. So they don't have to read a book. So it's like it just depends on the person. Some people can skim through it and grasp the concept. Some people can't. So I guess I'm kind of giving credit to Tai Lopez in that, yes, you can read a book a day. I mean, that's not impossible. Reading a book a day is is quite possible. Just like exercising, you can exercise every day. It's the excuse. Everyone always just has excuses as to why they can't do it. So that I will back anyone up on. Yes, you can read a book every day. So moving along with his with my research on him, I did see TED. So I saw this TED. He kept saying episode with TED, but because I'm just so familiar with TED Talks, I didn't know there was a TEDx. So I automatically did not hear the X and just assumed TED. I just heard TED, and I was like, oh, he's on TED Talks. Go over. I can't find him on TED Talks. So I looked. There's TEDx. So my evaluation of TEDx and TED Talks is they're very two distinct video segments. TED Talks, you see a large forum, looks like quite an amount of people in there. There's a lot of people in there, and they're not self-help. They're physics, they're economics, they're political debates. They are debates with prominent professors and people prominent in those segments of society. TEDx, as much as I can bring up most of those TEDx talks, they seem to be very small groups. Looks like about 50 to 100 people, and they're self-help. How you can succeed in business, how you can succeed in love life, how you can succeed in life, how you can life coach. It's all life coaching people trying to do self-help. That's now my red flag's kicking up. What I don't think a lot of people understand, or maybe I misinterpreted, or maybe they have the TEDx mixes, but you can pay TEDx to appear on it. You can pay TEDx to do an hour segment on TEDx. Whereas TED Talks, they invite you down. It's just a panel. They're like, hey, we want to talk about the gap of wealth in America. Invite these people to come down. TEDx is, these people are paying. Now, I don't know how much they're paying, but being a fraud auditor and being an understanding fraud auditing, I can easily, I know the aspects and routes to call up banks and verify transactions. So verifying transactions, of course they're not going to tell you the amount, but I can verify that a transaction has occurred before Tai Lopez appeared on TEDx. Now that doesn't mean he paid. It just means a transaction occurred, which means, and that's all the bank's going to say. It's like a transaction occurred between Tai Lopez and TEDx's banking. So these two accounts had a transaction between each other. So you don't know if Tai would pay TEDx or if TEDx paid Tai. You don't know. All you know is there's a transaction. But viewing from it, I have a feeling it was paid. Now this is just a hunch that he paid to be on there. So, but with that saying, TEDx Talks was TEDx. Like it's all self-help. Like I don't see discussing feminism on TEDx. It's like, hey, how can you better your life? Which is fine. I mean, you can take what you can get from someone, because like even in the Bible, even though a lot of stout Christians don't want to view this, but even in the Bible it says, find your truth, even if you find your truth in Egyptian gold, find your truth. So it's saying, like, if you see your truth in there, okay, go get it. But what I'm bringing it down to is that TEDx seems to be a lot of self-help. So this comes my number one flag. Then after doing some research, I find out that there's a video about Tai renting his Lamborghini. So renting a Lamborghini, even if it's a older model, is like $900 a day. Can it be done? Yes, but it's a lot of money for someone who's making $40. If someone doesn't have money to spend to rent a car. And yes, it does help his videos. It does help get subscribers to it. I mean, heck, I probably would have tons of subscribers if I drove around in a Rolls Royce talking about what stocks I picked, because that's the millennial generation. I see something that I don't have, that I can't possibly afford, so therefore it must be true. and millennials, I mean 35 and under, which is unfortunate. Which is unfortunate because that's what a snake oil salesman wants you to believe, is that I have this physical house, I have these materials, therefore I like it. I have these materials, so therefore I am successful. And and this also stems to, unfortunately, hip hop and black people, because hip hop spends a lot of money on these cars. It's like, oh, he has a Bugatti, so he must be making a lot of money. Yeah, but you can lease a Bugatti. You can lease a Bugatti. You can rent a Bugatti. Shoot. I mean, and sometimes you can get them used, and you can get replicas. I mean, there's a good Bugatti replica that you can get for $20,000. That it looks everything like the Bugatti. The only difference is it doesn't have the serial number and all that stuff. It has whatever the VIN number is of the chassis that they built. So it's like it'll have the VIN number of a Camry or whatever it was built with. But to an outsider, someone just looking at it and say, "Wow, that's expensive car, expensive house. Great. I like this person. This person's making money, so I'm going to believe it." And that's a layer of truth. Now, my third red flag about this is that he says that his family's from Luxembourg. In one of his videos, he says that his family's from Luxembourg, and they moved to the United States because his grandmother, growing up, their family rented a room to a pianist who was from California and who was very fashion forward and is in a jumpsuit and stuff like that. So, while I think it's like that's a pretty good stand. It's a good beginning story. So then, okay, so that explains how he gets to Hollywood Hills. But then if you read his video, so what I don't understand is he does not talk about the gap from, because your family moved there, so you moved there. So how did you move to, I think it was South Carolina? Now someone could say, well, his parents moved there. Yes, that's very true. His parents could have relocated for a job, for whatever reasons. But that's not how it would work. And plus, there's no jobs in South Carolina. There's no jobs that would require you to move. Like Lockheed Martin, financial institutions, they're not there. I can understand if you said he moved to Atlanta, but no. So, he says that with that saying, he said that he was in South Carolina, not homeless, but in a trailer, no car, no job, and sleeping on a couch. Okay, that's fine. I mean, there's been plenty of people. The guy who started one of the biggest food distribution services had started with his last $10 in his pocket and didn't get a job from Microsoft, believe it or not, and because he didn't have an email address, so they didn't offer him the janitorial job, and so he went out, bought $10 worth of tomatoes, sold the tomatoes, made $50, did it again, made $100, did it again, made more, did it again, and before you knew it, he had a multi-billion-dollar food distribution company. So yes, Tai Lopez could have come from nothing and could have made it. That's absolutely fine. That is a high probability. The harder you work, the more money you make, the more things you do. But what I don't understand is he's from Luxembourg. His family's from Luxembourg. And he has a very, very non-Eastern European... He portrays himself as an Eastern European family, but he's a very non-family. Like, he has very, Tai Lopez. Now, it could be a pseudonym. I mean, you are entitled to give a pseudonym so that when he does travel somewhere under his real name, he's not bombarded or people can't find him and stuff like that. That's perfectly fine. Actors do it all the time. Celebrities do it all the time. businessmen do it all the time, like the Koch brothers. Like you can have your own name, but then they probably, like when they go travel, they're traveling under their pseudonym so people can't bother them, which is fine. It's perfectly fine. That is perfectly legal to do. But it brings a red flag because it's an inconsistency in his story. So, and it doesn't add up. So, but the only way to find out that is to look at his lineage tree and see where the transgression happened, which he doesn't talk about. Granted, that's not part of his pitch, but it is a red flag. It's not like, oh, it must be fraud, but it's just like, okay, well, that's kind of interesting. Now I need to look at other things. That's how a fraud auditor looks. Okay, well, this doesn't make sense, so let me look at this. The next part is all the websites that he'd done. Now, dating websites, that's kind of an iffy area, but that's where he made his money, in some nightclubs. Now, for those of you who don't know, a nightclub, well, first off, nightclubs and clubs in general are very high, volatile markets. I mean, the restaurant industry is volatile, but this just brings it to a whole nother level. I mean, you could be in one week and out the next, but for anyone, a nightclub makes a ton of money when it's in. When you make a popular nightclub, you can make probably $5 or $6 million very quickly, and then it's shut down. And you gotta come up with the next one, and that's how nightclubs operate. And that's okay. You could start with you could have started with a strip club. I mean, everyone will find their path through whatever means they are, but it's just okay. So nightclub, going from nightclub to financial advisor. I have to wonder how much he knows about asset allocation and things of that nature, because you're in a nightclub. Now, he doesn't say he became a financial advisor and then had a nightclub. What it says is he was a financial advisor first, then the nightclubs, then the dating sites. And the dating sites are littered with fraud. I'm not going to go into dating sites in detail, but it's littered with complaints, which, to be honest, most dating sites complain about. Like, when people post and oh, there's no interaction. It's like, well, you could just be posting on the wrong site. There's one dating site that only takes in good-looking people, and people complain that they weren't taken in. Well, maybe you weren't considered good-looking. I don't know. Most people are average. Go find an average person, but that's a different story. It's that the dating sites are littered with lots of customer complaints, and there's looking through registration records on the IRS. He registers a business, it gets a lot of complaints, it shuts down, he registers another business, and he keeps going like that. So, and that is a tax fraud. That is a tax fraud, because you're supposed to close out a business, not reallocate all the assets of the business into another business, and then not pay taxes on that exchange. So, the IRS pays attention to that. Well, I also notice that the tax ID numbers keep changing. They go, they just change every time. They're changing. But he hasn't filed any taxes, so that's also kind of interesting. But that's only from what I see. Now, of course, it's very easy to make up and print out a tax return, so I wouldn't be surprised if you saw that a tax return would be like, oh, I pay my taxes, but trust me, the IRS knows. If anything, the IRS sits and waits and will get you. They're going to be the first people to get you. Why? Because they want their money. Anyway, so the dating sites are littered with fraud. That's another red flag. What's another flag, I don't know if people catch this, but there are people who are paid. Now, I don't know if they're being paid by Tai Lopez or being paid by someone affiliated with Tai Lopez or being paid by someone who's supporting Tai Lopez, but they're being paid to give out good commentary about all his works. That's another red flag. Another big red flag, which is now we're starting to raise the bullshit meter, is there's a lot of young people in favor of Tai Lopez. Like a lot of young people. I don't see old people. I don't see middle-aged people. I don't see anything, and I see just a lot of young people, and that goes in part of the snake oil salesman. He's running off the naivete of young people, much like armies do, military forces do. When you recruit people into the military, who do you recruit? Young adults. Why? Because they don't have the fear of death in them yet. They're still naive enough to think that nothing's going to happen to them. That's why they recruit young people into the military. Because you can't recruit someone who's 38 because they have a fear of death. They understand, like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to die. It's self-preservation. But recruiting a young person, and I know people are going to get upset about that, but that's what armies do. And people are like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, that's why Al Qaeda and ISIS recruit young people, because they're very quickly to say, oh, I'll go kill myself and go. And then after you stop and think, well, wait, why the hell am I killing myself? Why don't I just drop the bomb off and then run away? No, you have to go kill yourself because they want you to go and they want you to die for a cause. That way they can say whatever they want about you and ignore your opinion because you're dead. But I mean, the U.S. military isn't like that. I mean, there is a lot of pride in serving your country and stuff like that, but they target young people because, one, young people are typically better fit and better able, and you heal faster than, say, someone who's 38, but you're more likely to follow a cause that you believe in when you're young than when you're 38. Because when you're older, you have more skepticism, so you tend to ignore it. Whereas someone who's young believes everything that they see and will run right to it. And we all were like that. We all were like that, Everybody wanted, you're young, you're impressionable, you want to believe everyone that someone tells you is truthful, and you just want to go believe it. So, and it's a tough bullet to bite when someone's throwing up all these red flags, and you're like, no. And trust me, I was like that when I was something I believed in. No. And then you get sad when, like, oh, you're right. Well, that's what older people are for and experience is for. To research and say, whoa, wait a minute, this doesn't sound right to me. But to get to the overall premise of the video, is Tai Lopez a fraud? That is a big gray area. Because what he sells is perfectly legal. I can sell you a shitty product and get away with it. That's perfectly fine. Just eventually people will stop buying your product. But the credit card fraud is a fraud. When someone says, I don't want to get billed anymore, and you keep billing them, that is a credit card fraud. And that hits them on 3 felony charges. Credit card fraud, wire fraud, and banking fraud. That's like 20 years right there. 2, a lot of people don't know this is, if you get scammed for something $5,000 or less, it's perfect. It's not legal, but it's not enough to say, hey, well, we're going to put you behind you. It's just, oh, well, you got scammed for $5,000, move on with your life. That's the way the government sees it. So I do believe that he is doing a successful business. His successful business is making money off of the hope and dreams of young people. I mean, it's unethical, but it's not illegal. So, have you been scammed? Yes. Have you been defrauded? No. You've been scammed. If you invest in and pay for his steps, you've been scammed, but you haven't been defrauded. It's not illegal. You just signed up for something that was a shitty product and you didn't take much out of it, so you cancel and move on. But if he continues taking money from you, now that's a fraud. Now that is theft, because I told you not to take it and you went and took it, so now that's a fraud. So with that said, just be careful about self-help people, because it's just like people quoting like, I made millions of dollars off the stock market, but you can have my book and know how to do it for $29.95. Like, well, no, you didn't make your millions off the stock market. You made your millions off of your book, which is fine. Those who can't do teach, and that's usually a lot of times what happens. But as I said, it's up to you guys to do what it is. And if you feel like it's a fraud, don't bother with it. If you feel like it's the real deal, go for it. But if you feel like it's a real deal and it turns out to be a shitty deal, don't come crying. Don't wait. Just realize that you've been duped and you gotta work. Because if you really want the good life, or if you want stuff out of life, it takes a lot of work. And that's the problem I see with millennials with this generation. You want the riches, but you don't want to put in the work. Like I do. So I'm gonna be honest. I do want to someday buy a Rolls Royce Wraith. I want to buy a lot of things. Not Wraith. I would like to buy. My goal is to be able to buy the Rolls Royce Phantom Coupe Drophead Nighthawk edition. There's only 10 cars and they are ridiculously expensive. My goal is just to do that. Also get a Lamborghini Laneno. Or I can't pronounce it, but I'm sorry. I apologize for the car junkies. I cannot pronounce it. But I want to get that $6 million Lamborghini. Can't really get it right now, but what I'm doing is I'm working nonstop. I'm trading all day, 9:30 to 4. I get a little nap. I start trading on aftermarkets. Eat something. I wouldn't even say it's dinner. I just eat, then take a little nap. Get ready for overseas markets. Talk to people who want to invest in my fund. Talk to people who want to put their money with me to invest it, things of that nature. And it's just a lot of work. And I've been doing it I've been investing myself for a long time, but I've been trading my own money since I was 23, since I graduated and had my own job and started putting money into the account. And I've been trading other people's money for the last 2 years when I got out of college, when I worked for Bank of America, but 2 years out of it. About 2 years from now. And I started with friends and family. And now I'm starting to branch out to other people. And hopefully more people will come in and I'll create a nice fund that I can help a lot of people make money and, make money myself with putting my money in there too. So, it's a long, arduous road. And it's like, I don't expect in a year to be making millions of dollars. Like, I expect to make a little bit. But with that said, it just takes, if you want something, it's going to take a lot of hard work. And you're going to get a lot of rejection along the way. And it's going to suck. But you got to see through it to the end. And you have to have perseverance. But that's my personal take on it. You guys can take whatever you like from it. Miss Anonymous, I couldn't even say Mr. or Mrs. because just was anonymous, so I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but Anonymous, I hope that gave you some light and put you at comfort in deciding what to do. As those who support Tai Lopez, hey, you can support whomever you want. It's a free country. Some people may not like it, but that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. But that said, I'm going to go back to trading. I got a lot of work to do, and I'm going to post my progress for the month at the end of the week. Like and subscribe to my videos. Guys, try to avoid those scams out there because there are a lot. Try to avoid the pump and dump schemes because they still happen, even though it seems like it's not happening, but it's happening. I just saw a stock where that was the case. So just be careful out there, and I guess the most important thing is believe in yourself. Understand where you are, and then always, always respect the process, understand the process, and follow the process. That said, good day at trading. See you guys on my next video. Have fun. And hey, if you got any comments, feedback, or anything, comment below, like and subscribe. Visit my website, visit my Facebook page, follow me on Twitter. Everything. I'm always available to ask questions. I may not respond quickly, but I will always get back to your question. So thanks, guys. Enjoy the day.